Oh, I had it. All right. I'm a little loopy, so I apologize in advance. All right, so the way I did my converter, um, so I had to take in this humanoid name, whatever. It was either Teddy or humanoid, right? It takes a name, and then it calls it from main. Use the string. Where is display animation? Or let's do hierarchy first. Okay. So yeah, standard stuff. You got the root node for the humanoid. Yeah, this is for the humanoid only. Did it twice to get rid of those dummy nodes because I felt like it was easier to deal with it in the converter rather than the actual engine. So then, oh yeah, I also use a vector of hdata, which is index parent, index name, parent name, and then go to display hierarchy using that first child, which is like the pelvis, I think, in the human, and then like the BIP1 or whatever in the teddy. Okay, yeah. And this is all your stuff that was already there, right? But then, oh yeah, check for the teddy z-sphere. Just so you don't copy that over. That's like the weird uh, bad node you don't want to take in. And then for the humanoid, like the two calls for the get child. Hold on, is this recording? Okay. I got paranoid. Didn't want to do this again. So the humanoid doesn't have that problem because you already get rid of those two with those two calls. And then I push back the data for the hierarchy, and then it's a recursive call to the children of it, and then you gotta make sure to pass in the index. So the index is like how, like it starts at 0, right? And then it gives you the parent index. So when I don't know where I increment it, but it gets incremented, whatever. It works. It works at some point. So yeah, and then it outputs the hierarchy correctly into the spews. Oh yeah, I didn't show that. I'll show that real quick. Sure, whatever. I use my file system, right? Make a hierarchy. I append the name of the like humanoid hierarchy, whatever, teddy hierarchy. Do the whole vodka LIU spiel, and it outputs the SPUs. All right, and then for the animation, so I didn't get the more than one animation per model thing down, so I only have this vector of 2. But I would have, I mean, would have, could have, should have, but I would have used 3 vectors and then that L scene, wherever it is, not this one. Where did I already go past it? I might have. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Okay, well there's the L scene or whatever, and then like for that you know make separate. I was gonna make separate SPUs and then load each one of those to different animations in the actual thing. Okay, so oh yeah, the layers, right? So I quick hacked it, right, just to get to 1, just to make sure the first one worked, right, and then otherwise it would have made more. I make a vector bone data each one of these increments, right? So this is the frames, right? So for each frame, I make the bone data vector, then I push it back, and then in the actual, oh, that's the recall, sorry. Where's your display channels? Am I losing my mind? Yes, I am, but, oh, it's because it hadn't gone to Keenan yet. Yeah, okay. So this is the display channels. This is where you actually go to make the bone data, right? And I just convert it, just like have it pretty much the same as whatever your print statement was, and then I push it back in this animation data L count, right? And then yeah, same thing as before. Package it all up, and then I just have this stuff to make sure that my data is actually correct. So yeah, so I got my spews. This is just the humanoid one. I gotta delete them or whatever for the Teddy too, but got them both. All right, and this is my beautiful engine. Sorry, I sound snarky. I'm literally losing my mind. If it wants to load. Okay, so I got my two models on the screen. I don't know what's going on with this guy's pelvis, but yeah, that's incorrect. I know that, but that's like the pelvis one. I think it should be lowered, but the Teddy works. I know it's far away, but I just didn't want to screw with the camera this late in the game and just not have either of them on screen, so I figured I'd show both. Alright, so I only have one animation for both of them, but I do have both of them. So what I did is also I excluded these. I don't know if these will affect it or not. They might be already in when I pushed it to Perforce, but I am not sure. So if it doesn't run, that might be why, and I already apologize. So I made an animation. Oh, jeez, where am I? What happened to my animation manager? What the hell? Where's my animation man? Oh, here he is. All the way over here. Oops. My bad. I thought I had already put him there. Okay. Whatever. Okay. It doesn't make a difference. So the animation manager, right, has a skeleton. I have a Teddy and a human. I know it's a hacky thing, but I could easily make a node thing. Just didn't want to screw it up. A lot of excuses. I'm sorry. And then the skeleton, yeah, skeleton and animation. So let's go to initialize. All right, so make a new skeleton with the SPUs, and I use this enum Teddy skeleton. Let's just go to the skeleton for now. Skeleton, I read in. Shevin said that the pyramid model stuff I'd screw it up, so I have this little check here. Set animation hierarchy from file. So yeah, this is when I read in the SPU file. Oh yeah, skeleton's the hierarchy essentially that the animation then uses. So I did basically the same setup as the what was in this animation to bone kind of thing, but then I use eat right on the TGA or the hierarchy or whatever. Go through it. I basically load. So the way I did it was I loaded all of it at once. So I loaded. The way that I indexed it was just a whole giant buffer full of bones, and then you'll see in a sec I do something kind of wonky, but oh no I don't. That's for the animation, sorry. So I do normal for this. Then I go through, I make the new graphics object animation. I set the index based on the index that is read in from the hierarchy, right? From that buffer that I read in from the file. Set the name, set the type, and then this is, if it's 1, you add it to the root. And then otherwise, you just add it to the find index, which I added. It just finds the index of whatever node in the game object manager, and I add that bone to this is parent. Oh, and also in the import scene, that was actually important. I sort it so that it is guaranteed that when you do this, that parent, or when you do this rather, that parent does exist already. So it sorts them from like, top down essentially. And then what's next? Let's go to the animation, because that was what happens next, right? Oh my gosh, where am I? Okay, here we go. So yeah, animation has a frame bucket, next and a previous, which I didn't add. Then known as skeleton bones. So based on whether or not it's a teddy or human, I just have a simple switch kind of thing. So it deals with the time itself rather than having it being like the main game loop. And then within this, got my bone data. Let's start from where you make them. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, no, just kidding. Alright, so let's go to the human one. Same stuff, read and dispute. And then, oh, I was wondering why this looks so small. So you read it in the dispute. I get the number of frames from number of human bones times size of the bone data, chunk size, right? That's how many frames there are. There's 30 frames in the first animation, I believe, right? And then you have to make the first head, that's like the one edge case, and then make a new frame bucket for the current frame, set that stuff, and then I have this bone index. This is the goofy thing that I do. So I have for the whole animation, I just have it read in to just this big long bone data array, and then I just index it by doing this j plus I times number of human bones, just because that's how it ended up being. For the human, there's no weird like hacky things you have to do for the pelvis or whatever. Just read it straight in. And then get to one frame, then you go to the next frame bucket, or rather, the next frame bucket. I kind of forget how you call them. And I think that's it for the reading in. Oh yeah, and then let's go to game. Okay, so I have the animation manager do an update before the game object manager, and then it does the time update for itself. So in this update, it gets both of the different animations, and then the animation handles the update using the bone of the skeleton, the first bone of the skeleton, because you only need the first one. And then it goes to process animation, which gets the first frame bucket and then like iterates through. And then if the frame is at whatever in between, what am I trying to say? It's basically doing the slurp at whatever key time it's at, so it's like the percentage thing. It's the blending part, right? And then it lerps from that that ratio rather, and then pops her into that B result. And then after the process animation, you set the animation pose, which actually is what puts the stuff onto the bones essentially. You go through and you set the bone pose, or rather, it's not that what puts it onto the bones. That's in the actual game animation object update. But this gets the actual in relation to the bone above it, what the direction is, which is I think this is why the pelvis is off. To be quite honest, I think that's why it's at 0, but I could be wrong. I have been before. And then what's next? Oh yeah, game changed. Oh yeah, changed in Game Object Manager. You gotta have two iterators for the skeletons because they're both attached to the root node, because otherwise it'll just keep going using the forward iterator rather than stopping, at the end of each skeleton. And then, so it iterates through and it calls the game object animation update, which I have a bone type that I set when I'm reading them in from the hierarchy, right? And then it grabs the frame bone bucket that it's at, right? Gets that B result, gets what bone it is, because of the array that, or the index that you pass in from the hierarchy, and then like sets those two things, right? Same thing with the quaternion. Multiply, get the parent's world, and this is like before guaranteed to work because of the way we set up the PCS trees, and yeah, then it translates it back to the world. So quick things I would have done, I guess, if I had infinite time, delta time. This is an easy thing, like the changing speed kind of stuff, let's put 5, let's jack her up. What's going on? Why isn't my 5 working? What's going on? What's going on, buddy? What the hell? Alright, well, it did not like that. Okay. What on earth is happening? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's probably why. It's because I tried to read only. Okay, well, I don't know what time I'm at. I feel like I've been recording for 17 minutes. Okay. Goodbye.